The boring stuff out of the way first, guys. One interesting All right, so one of the major things I noticed today, guys, was we actually closed at the highs. Past few weeks, we really haven't been able to do that. Interesting today that we were able to actually close at the highs. So take a look here at the SPY, and rather than having this nasty price action where we're up, we're down, where we're fading, we actually had some strength into the close today. Now, that's kind of a big nothing because we're still in a huge absence of volume. But as we're kind of looking to see, looking for signs of when the market is going to recover, this is, something you want to pay attention to. Do we get weaker into the close, or do the buyers kind of start to, throw their weight around and take control of things? So the SPY closed right at the highs of the day. That was pretty impressive given how it's acted lately. And we're still sitting here below the 200-day. So elections are tonight. Big possibility that this entire sell-off in the market was all to do with the elections coming up. Now, that's all a guess. It doesn't really matter. But just like Amazon earnings, just like Apple earnings, there are certain catalysts outside of the market that we want to pay attention to. And, these election results are going to be a big catalyst. We don't need to guess which way it's going to go. Let's just do our homework, put together a few basic notes, and be prepared either way. But those are my two observations on the SPY. We are still below the 200-day. However, we closed at the highs of the day. Haven't been doing that lately, so a little bit impressed there with the SPY today. Head on over here to the Qs. And the Qs, though they didn't finish towards the highs of the day, they did make a nice little comeback towards the close. So we're still sitting here under the 200-day on the Qs. And with that being said, we've got Amazon here. So, we talked about on Monday, guys, the potential trade in Amazon playing that 200-day. We can look for a breakout to the upside, or you can look for a rejection off of the 200. That trade should remain in your watch list. One rookie mistake that I used to make a lot, going back 4 or 5 years ago, is that I'd have a great setup on my watch list and I would lose sight of it. Amazon didn't get the breakout we were looking for here the other day, but it's still a very viable setup. So though I may not be discussing Amazon every day, this is still a setup in my playbook, and I suggest each of you have it in your playbook as well. As long as the Qs and the market are hovering below the 200, those are 3 potential setups that you should be all over. Doesn't matter if we get a move into finance. Doesn't matter if the election is good or bad. These are a few setups you want to be mindful of. So just wanted to mention that even though I'm not discussing these setups every day, these are trades that are still in my playbook that I'm going to be all over them. So we got the 200-day play on the SPY. We got the same setup there on the Qs, and of course in Amazon as well. So we'll see how the market digests the election results tonight. My best guess is that by the time we all wake up tomorrow morning and take a look at the pre-market action, we're going to have a good gist of whether it's a positive reaction, a negative reaction, or a big nothing. So that's where the market sits at the moment, guys. Those key levels right there, nice and simple. And in terms of setups that I'm going to be monitoring tomorrow, here's what I'm seeing right now. In terms of bigger picture setups, bigger picture being, in my opinion, the daily chart, other than these plays based upon the 200-day, there really isn't much going on right now. The market has been so volatile that obviously on the big time frames, none of these stocks have had a chance to consolidate. So me, with the squeeze being my favorite trade, you need to be aware of the bigger picture and understand that while your setup may not be available on one time frame, it doesn't mean that it's not available on others. Now, I don't like to take trades off the 5-minute charts or anything lower than that, but despite the sloppiness in the daily charts, there are plenty of squeezes happening on the hourly time frames. So I was able to profit pretty nicely this morning on one of those, and I just want to discuss with you guys a few that I'm looking for, or monitoring rather. So the first initial thing that is sticking out to me as far as squeezes goes is this, the financial sector here. pull up a few different names in the financial group. And what makes this stick out, guys, is that, unlike technology, which is kind of all over the place, you got some names squeezing, you got some names that aren't. Most of finance is in a good looking squeeze setup right now. So looking for a group move here in finance. And again, JP Morgan looks nice and tight on the hourly chart. So does Goldman, so does Bank of America, and so on and so on. But let's just keep in mind that they are pretty messy on the daily chart. That's a really sloppy setup for Wells Fargo. JP Morgan is just kind of hovering here in no man's land. So what I'm trying to say is during times of volatility where on the daily chart things are very sloppy, you can kind of take a few steps down and look a little bit beneath the surface and still find your favorite trades. If you love taking support and resistance trades, there's going to be times where you're not getting that on the daily time frames. But if you bump it down a bit to, say, a 30-minute chart or an hourly chart, you can still find your setups. So with the volatility right now, I've had to bump it down a little bit in order to find my favorite opportunities. Everything we've talked about in terms of the big picture view, follow the money, those are all principles that I apply to my squeeze trades. So with most of the financial stocks being in a squeeze right now, on the hourly chart, that makes it number one priority for me. Again, you got Goldman, Bank of America, Wells Fargo Corp, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. So that's the kind of thing that even in this volatile environment sticks out for me. I'm going to continue to monitor a few of these bigger financial names, and all I'm looking for, guys, is a breakout of this squeeze range. So I'll pull up a better example in JP Morgan, nice and tight. What's happening in a squeeze is that the Bollinger Bands are just starting to trade closer to each other. They're beginning to contract. In all reality, what that means is that this is starting to become like a grenade. This is a ticking time bomb where all of that volatility and all that energy is being built up. At some point, this thing is going to snap. Now, a stock can snap out of its squeeze and run for days on end, or a stock can break out of its squeeze and run for a few days. Or, like my trade today, it can break out for 10, 15 minutes. But nonetheless, the setup is very simple. And when we can find this setup across the board in a given sector, it really increases the likelihood of that trade working. So in terms of opportunities that I'm most active with right now and going to be all over, these squeezes in the financial name are number one on my list. I really like JP Morgan. For whatever reason, every year I do well trading Goldman Sachs, and that's really all you need. Pick a few. Could be Bank of America, could be BlackRock. It doesn't really matter. I mean, that's beautiful. That's a super, super tight squeeze. So what are we looking for here, team? We've identified the consolidation on the hourly chart. We are just looking for this rubber band to snap either direction on big volume. So what we're looking for in BlackRock and the rest of the financial names right now is basically what occurred over here. Big consolidation, that rubber band is squeezing, and then snap. The buyers come in and you break it out. That's what I'm looking for right now. Taking into consideration the bigger picture, I'm not looking for a move that's going to last weeks on end. I'm not looking for this kind of move right here, where the whole financial sector was in a beautiful consolidation and boatloads of money came in. I'm not looking for that kind of move. What I am looking for is for these little ticking time bombs to finally snap, and I just want to play that explosion. Not looking for home runs, not looking for lengthy trades. I've just identified my favorite setup on this particular time frame, and I'm going to execute on it. So what I want to talk about now is kind of the total preparation of a trade. Taking in the bigger picture here, let's set our expectations. Should these financial names break their squeeze, my expectation is not that it's going to move for weeks on end. I don't have any expectations based upon where the market is, where the sector is. that these moves are going to be, life-changing trades. I think we're in a volatile environment. We're still seeing very sloppy price action on the daily charts. We've just been able to kind of carve out a little window here on the hourly time frame where maybe we can exploit this great low risk setup that is the squeeze. So setting our expectations for these trades here on the financial group, I'm not expecting a lengthy trade. With that being said, should I take these trades tomorrow, and maybe you guys want to write this down, because I take options, I'll be trading the options that expire on the 16th of November. So let's say tomorrow market reacts positively, yada, yada, and let's say I personally like BlackRock. Well, the buyers come in, BlackRock fires out of that squeeze. I'm then going to buy the options on BlackRock that expire next Friday. Not this coming Friday the 9th, but I want the options that are going to expire next week. Here's why. Why do I not want options that expire in 4, 5, 6 weeks? Well, because I'm not expecting a move of that length. I want to get a little bit more meat on this move. I want to go shorter term. Again, set your expectations using the bigger picture. I'll take this for a week or so, but I'm not looking for a big time, swing trade here. I also don't want to trade the options that expire this week because of the volatility in our market right now. We're going to talk a lot more about kind of the inconsistencies and details of options, but the options that are closer to expiration during volatile times like this can take a lot of damage on very small moves. I don't want to open myself to that kind of, potential hit. So for me, the sweet spot on these potential 60-minute squeezes is the options that expire on the 16th. I'm going to be able to avoid taking a really nasty hit against me like I would on the options that may expire in a few days. And hey, if I can own these up until next Friday, you know what? If financials go on some nice move here, at least I got the freedom and the flexibility to ride that wave as long as I wish. Rather than, JP Morgan breaking out tomorrow, me buying the options that expire, a day later, and then being forced to miss a whole move. In regards to options, guys, always take the time to set your expectations and buy the options that are most appropriate for your expectations. If you're looking to scalp Goldman Sachs today, it wouldn't make much sense to buy options that expire in 4 months. We're going to talk more about those kind of details, but these are the little things we do before taking trades that make the process easy. So I'm going to email you guys this watch list tonight. Those are a few of the financial squeezes I think that are worthwhile watching. And of course, we want to focus on technology. Should the market have a positive reaction, should money return to our market, it's obviously going to hit tech first. It's going to hit the big household names. Here's a few squeezes I like on that end. Google is not one of them. Netflix. So Netflix entered its own squeeze on the hourly time frame today. And these trades are simple, guys. You're just looking for a breakout above or below that Bollinger Band on big buying volume or big selling volume. I love the squeeze because once you identify the setup, it literally just becomes a job of doing what? Following the money. If the money don't come in, there's nothing to do. So want to pay attention to Netflix here, just starting to squeeze today on the hourly chart, which you can see by my green dots. Tesla, which has gone on an absolute tear as of late, is also a good candidate. What are we looking for? We've identified the consolidation, we've identified the squeeze, and we want to follow the money when it fires out of its squeeze. I love looking at these setups because you can literally see, weeks ago, exactly what you're looking for. Stock enters a squeeze on the hourly chart, fires out of that squeeze on big volume, you follow the money. Stock goes into a squeeze on the hourly chart, it fires that squeeze, and you follow the money. So Netflix, that's obviously an intraday move or a short-term move you don't want to miss. Tesla, that's a move that you're not going to want to miss either. And then the third name that I'm going to pay attention to, which brings us back to our discussion on the China names, is BABA. BABA was my favorite pick for the China move just because it's the leader of that group. And now it's entering a squeeze on the hourly time frame. So while, yes, I am looking for a nice longer-term swing trade here in the Chinese names, just identify one of the leaders in my favorite setup on an hourly chart. That's something I'm going to look to play. So pay attention to those financial names, guys. And again, I'm going to email you the list so you'll have it at your disposal. The financial names, it's a good sign that the whole group, and you can think of the most random financial stocks you want, they're all squeezing on the hourly time frame. Want to pay attention to BABA, Tesla, and PayPal, and all those other names. And the last thing I want to talk to you guys about tonight is scalp trades. So what is scalping? Let me pull up a chart here and share with you guys a trade I took today. Where are you? Here we go. So a scalp, guys, all the scalp really is when you're looking to take a small piece out of a move. You know, on a scalp setup, you're not looking for a home run. You're not looking for a big move. You're literally looking to identify a move and then slice out your little piece of that move and then get the heck out. So that's kind of the way that I would, explain a scalp trade, is that you're looking to take a small piece of the cake. If a stock moves all day, you may scalp it for a half hour. If a stock is moving in a 5-minute window, you may scalp it for a few minutes. So all you're really looking for on a scalp trade is a small, quick move. And then using the bigger picture of the market and the environment, you can set your expectations on these trades. So I had in my game plan today, in my notebook, let me be open-minded to some scalp trades. Like we talked about in last night's video and in this morning's video, I was watching a few different squeeze setups. One of them was Microsoft. There was a few others as well, but this is the one that broke out of its squeeze. It all starts with the bigger picture, guys. Where were we today? Well, overall, we're still below the 200-day. Our market has been very volatile as of late. As you all know, we have seen a lot of nice moves in the morning that are met by quick fades. And we have, this catalyst of the election results hanging over our head. These are all things you need to be mindful of because that goes into my game plan. Those are all different parts of the recipe and you throw it all together and that creates your game plan. So I headed into today with a list of my favorite setups. And then using the bigger picture, being aware of what the heck is going on, I'm then able to create a game plan for how I want to take those setups. Set your expectations every day. What are you looking for? And don't use your opinion, use the bigger picture. The market has been volatile. We're below key levels. We have a catalyst hanging over our head. And most mornings that are strong are met by big fades. All of those different ingredients, to me, you throw that in a pot, and that tells me that my best bet here today was to look for a quick trade. We have a catalyst over our head. That doesn't give me confidence either way. The market is below the 200. I don't feel comfortable holding overnight. No ingredients that make me comfortable putting on capital and trying to expect some big move. So setting my expectations today, it gave me kind of, it gave me the scalping hat today. Some days you got, your swing trading hat. Some days you got, your sit on your hands hat. Today, with all of these great squeeze setups at my disposal, I put on my scalping hat. So with that being said, I set my expectations. And again, I'm not changing the routine. This is still my setup. That's where most people tend to go wrong. They think they need to have, a specific style for their day trading and, a special setup just for swing trading, and a special setup just for scalping. You could do 10 different things with the squeeze setup alone. Find your setup and then make that tool yours. You want to own that. So wore my scalping hat today, sat there at the open, and out of all the names on the squeeze list, Microsoft was the best looking one. Broke out of its squeeze range, fired out of that squeeze on nice volume, and before taking that position, I went through the trading checklist. So yes, Microsoft is on my list. Yes, it's my favorite setup. And yes, it gave me the entry signal, but that's not enough. So during that time, looking over here at the SPY, and the SPY was climbing this morning. Things were looking good. And right at the open, it was at the top of its squeeze as well. The Qs were making a nice push here this morning, and so were other tech names. At that moment, as I was looking at Microsoft, as a general statement, my trading checklist was yes, yes, yes. The trading checklist gave me the confidence to put my capital into my go-to setup. And because of the preparation in the bigger picture, I set my expectations and I knew what I was looking for given my setup. These are all the little steps that go into trading with consistency. This is what you do to be able to trade full time. So many people don't understand that. Just waking up and flipping open the computer and then trying to put shit together, that's very difficult. It continues to blow my mind how hard of a time a lot of people have in trading. It blows my mind, but they just go about it in such a difficult way. You see it on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, these YouTube guys now, you can't even watch a freaking YouTube video without seeing these advertisements, and they promote all the BS. Trade 5 minutes a day from your hammock, in the Bahamas and make big money. Do this 5 minutes a day and make big money. It's all a bunch of BS. Today, between the 3 trades that I personally took, made about $800. I could easily go on Instagram and say, hey, $300 on Microsoft in a few minutes, $100 here, $100 there, but that's misleading. Why was I able to make a few $100 this morning in a few easy minutes on Microsoft? Because of all the work I put in last night, because of the live stream discussion we had yesterday, because of my note taking. These 5-minute trades, they're a result of all that preparation work, knowing the bigger picture, knowing the game plan. So the reason that I was able to scalp successfully today was that, A, I did it on my go-to setup. I'm not looking for anything foreign. This is my baby. I can play it either which way I desire. So I, first of all, came into today with a pond, full of my favorite setups to fish from. I then used the bigger picture to set my expectations. We're volatile, big catalyst over our head. I'm just looking for a big piece. I write this on paper a lot to remind myself, pay the bills. There are days where I'm coming into the market and I'm looking to make some serious stuff happen. I'm looking to have a big day. I'm looking to have days that, I'm going to feel it come tax time. But that's 5-10% of the time. The other 90% of the time, you're looking for these small moves that pay the bills. So in the bigger nutshell, guys, that's the full process of trading. That's, if anything, if I can share with you guys anything valuable, it's that. This 5-10 minute trade that was a nice profit this morning was simply a result of all of the things we've been talking about. So Tammy, you asked earlier about scalp trades. We can jump more into it. I'd be definitely, looking forward to sending out some more content on that. But as a general statement, you want to, use the overall environment to dictate what kind of trade you should be looking for. There are days where, based upon the bigger picture and the price action, it wouldn't make any sense to scalp a move. If our market's breaking out and there's big money coming in every which way, it doesn't make much sense to look for a small piece. Those are the days where you want to do more than pay the bills. So to answer your question, Tammy, for scalps, I like to use the same setups that I go to for any kind of trade. And I just use the environment to kind of dictate whether or not a swing, a day trade, or, a quick few minute scalp is in my best interest. So all these tools, using the bird's eye view, the trading checklist, having your go-to setups and showing up with a game plan, that's what makes, scalping easy, so to say. What a lot of people tend to do is, they'll see a stock moving up and down in price and, they'll throw their money at it. They'll hope that the move continues for a few minutes and then they can hop out with a profit. For me, I'd rather just kind of continue to execute on what I know works well for me. I know I'm comfortable here. I guess one way we can look at it like an analogy is that the squeeze setup is an instrument. Any go-to setup that's going to become yours is going to be your instrument. And then it's your job to dictate how and when you play that instrument. I could have really taken some damage today. I put about $2,000 in the Microsoft this morning. If my expectations weren't right, and if I didn't use my trading checklist, and if I was, not in tune with the bigger picture, what if I treated this squeeze today as, oh boy, here we go. Microsoft is going to rip. Here comes a huge, move to the upside. I'd be sitting here in some good pain this afternoon. So staying in tune with that big picture is always, always, always going to be the first key. Doesn't matter if you're looking for a buy and hold, swing trade, day trade, a 0.3 of a second trade. The odds are going to be in your favor when you tie in that bigger picture and when you can use a setup that is just truly your own. So for tomorrow, guys, I'm going to get up extra early because I want to get out, the AM trading prep video to you guys earlier than usual. It's going to be an important day should the market have some kind of reaction, and I want us to be fully prepared either way. One little note here is that each of the squeezes that I sent you guys, they can easily work to the downside as well. There's no reason at all that Netflix, Tesla, Baba, and all those financial names can't drop even further. Let's not get caught up in that game of, we can't go any lower than we already have. We easily could go down another 5% here. So that's a spiel for tonight, guys. Use that bigger picture. We're going to build on that tomorrow and pay attention to those few setups. You got the squeezes in the financial sector. You've got your Netflix, Tesla, and Baba squeezes. I'm going to continue to be monitoring Amazon, SPY, and Qs around the 200-day. And those are 3 trades that could take place tomorrow, depending on the reaction from the market. And in terms of scalps, guys, again, it's the same instruments. You're just playing it a little bit differently based upon, what's in your best interest. And to figure that out, we use the big picture and the bird's eye view. So I hope you guys all have a good night. If you're going to vote, good luck with that. And we'll see the reaction tomorrow. Either way, there's going to be opportunities. And either way, I can guarantee you we're going to be prepared. So have a good night, guys. Be safe, and I'll talk to you all in the chat room.